Previously on Chai Station, we spoke of our favorite holiday destinations. On this week's episode, we speak on traveling as a Muslim, the adventures of hunting for halal food, security checks, and the usual traveler's concerns. Grab your teacups. You're listening to Chai Station with Gul, Rumi, and Kazel, and today's episode is on Troubles of a Traveling Muslim. So, considering our previous episode was on traveling to our favorite destinations, I think we skipped a very crucial aspect of travel, and that is the whole process getting to the destination. And as Muslims, I feel like it's a whole different, in a lot of cases, it's a whole different game. And in a lot of cases, it's not a different game. It's normal. It's just like as any other traveler would experience their whole journey to be. But have you guys had any experiences that reflect on you being Muslim at the airport? Maybe random or not so random security checks or anything of that nature.
I did actually. So I've had a couple of experiences. The one that I always keep going back to is when I was pregnant. I was about 6 to 7 months pregnant, and me, my husband, and this other family, we decided to go to Ottawa. We were gonna stay there in a hotel and stuff, but we wanted to go check out the Parliament. So, I already knew Parliament, a lot of experience, like a security, and I know this is not like traveling to a different country type of situation, but it was really speaking to the amount of security checks I had to go through, just me. So we entered in, and out of the corner of my eye, I could see there was a Sikh family. They had a turban, so he was going through his own checks. So I felt sorry for him. I was like, okay, well, he has a head covering, I have a head covering. Simple thing. The first thing that happened was it was almost like a verbal check that happened. So as I was putting my things on the conveyor belt, the guy, he made conversation with me, but for some reason it didn't feel kind. It felt almost like a check in its own, where it was almost like saying, how would I reply? Am I making eye contact? How am I saying the things? Am I comfortable saying what I'm saying? Am I acting suspicious? And he was like, bonjour, and I was like, bonjour, but I speak English. And so he continued on, and I even asked, he was like, how are you? But he didn't, it's weird. They say, how are you? But it didn't feel like he was actually asking about me. So that was step one, and that was kind of like, And then, next thing I know, there was a guy checking, they did the normal wand scan, and he scanned over me, and, I feel like he was trying his best to be respectful, but at the same time trying to do his job, so I wasn't really offended, but it was kind of funny to me because I had a little bit of a baby bump, and they were like, how many months pregnant are you? Yada, yada, yada. A lady came in, there was like 3-4 people around me, and they were like holding different things, and then they were feeling me, and then the lady quickly asked, like, can I touch you? And I was like, sure, no problem.
3 or 4 people around you?
Yeah, and I was like, sure, you want your Parliament to be safe and everything, but for me it was an experience. I wasn't really offended by it. I was almost like laughing through my experience, but as I was thinking about it afterwards.
But there were like 3 or 4 people only with you.
Only with me. They were there,
right.
And they were holding different things, and, they were quickly doing a check, and, they like completely like body swiped me with their hand, and they did the whole scan from head to bottom.
Did they think you were hiding something in your belly?
I guess they were trying to make sure if my belly was truly my belly, or if I was hiding something. And it made me sad because I know that, like, there has been scenarios where people have hidden things like that, but me being subject to it, like me being actually pregnant and being subject, even my husband was being bewildered because he hasn't seen like that kind of a thorough check, right? And I was like, it's fine, I understand. Like, I might be a little like taken aback by it, but I know they're doing it for security reasons. So, and they were trying to be as professional. And when it finished, the guy, I think the icing on the cake, he was like, "I'm sorry about this," and for that, I forgive the entire thing. I was like, okay, like I think they also knew how excessive it was, but he apologized at the end. He was like, "I'm so sorry for this." I was like, okay, fine. But the funny thing is, as we were like crossing after the security check, there was this guy in this desk. I don't even know what his purpose was. He was literally giving us the eye. Like, he was just staring at us like this. I stared back at him because I was like, I don't know what your business is.
What the heck?
Yeah, I was like, I know why you're looking at me. It's because, like, we're Muslim. Because he was staring, like, dead staring at us, not at the other families. He was like, there was almost like annoyance, hatred in his eyes. It's like, what are they doing here? And I just stared back at him. I was like, don't you dare.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was my experience. So does anyone else have a very notable experience with security?
I mean, I guess I have an experience, but it's not really, it wasn't super uncomfortable, but it was just kind of awkward and weird. Because I've never had that like in Canada. So basically, we were in Dubai and it was like a layoff, and Dubai is a Muslim country, so it was just kind of weird because I was wearing like an abaya and all of that when we were there, and they took me on the side and they were like, we need to just check, and I was like, okay, fine, and they did like take me to a private, like behind closed, kind of enclosed area, which I guess they don't really have in like Western countries. I think they had that in like Pakistan as well. But anyhow, they took me there and like they did like a full on like check, with the whole, what is that thing called? That screening thing? What is that thing? The
That
handheld
wand,
thing?
is it the wand,
The
the metal
wand. Yeah, the
detector thing?
wand. Yeah, the metal detector, and then like, they touch you and all that. And yeah, and I wasn't really wearing any jewelry or anything. They didn't make me take off stuff. But it was just weird, like people touching you and like trying to figure
Yeah,
out if
and
you have anything. And I'm like,
the
well,
fact
what did
that
I do?
the fact that
But yeah.
they spend more time on some people and less time on other people is, I think, very evident in the way they will judge you, I think. Especially
Yeah.
in Middle Eastern countries. If they actually, with a Canadian passport, with a United States passport, I think it's probably not that, thing. Like, they wouldn't even look at you much. But the sad reality is that in the Middle East, if your passport is, I don't know, of Pakistan or India or Bangladesh,
Yeah,
then
but I had a Canadian
yeah,
passport,
exactly,
so
right?
it
So
was more
that's
weird.
why it's a bit surprising, like why would,
Yeah.
usually that's not how it works. Usually it's like, oh, they see a Pakistani passport and they're like, okay, gotcha. Yeah, so uh honestly, my experiences on airports have been amazing, and I'm very happy to say that, because every time someone relates their bad experience, I'm like, oh, it never happened to me. But the funny thing is that it only happened to me once, and it happened in Edmonton, in the Edmonton airport. So that's where I live, and it was like, excuse me, I've lived in the city for 10 years, and I'm a tax paying citizen, and your audacity is just shocking right now. So basically, we were going, my whole family was with me, and I go through that. So there's those two lines, right? There's the line with the pat, that they just pat you, and then there's also that other line where there's that thing, the X-ray scanning machine. They pass you through that, and then I don't know what they do, look at your skeleton. If you're, I don't know, like they're engraved gold in your bones or something. I don't even know, but yeah, they
They probably
do
need to
that.
do like a CT scan of
Yeah, like,
everyone as well.
excuse me, what is this? You might as well order a copy as well, because it'll come in handy later, right? Of the
Uh,
scan, I'm saying. Yeah. For real? See, there's discrimination in that too. I'm not famous. That doesn't mean they can't just not give me a scan either, like what? Uh, um, yeah, so Yeah, so my whole family, okay, I was the last one in the line of my family, basically. We're 5 members. And they all go. They pass through the padding, the simple padding line, and they are not directed to the machine. I go through it, okay, and this white lady looks at me. I look at her, and first she makes me take off my watch, which a lot of the others did not have to take off. Even though you're supposed to take off your watch, apparently, you have to put it in the tray. Uh, so she told me to come back. She told me to take off my watch. I took off my watch, put it in the tray. And then I'm almost going through the thing, the not the machine, the basic scan thing, right? I'm going through that, and she calls me back again, and she says, "Ma'am, can you lift your hijab a little bit? Because my hijab was a little, well, it was just normal hijab. It was just around my neck, okay?" She's like, "No, we'll have to have you lift it up so that it's above your shoulders, and we can see your figure, basically." I don't know what the hell she meant by that, to be honest. So I lift it up, and I was very uncomfortable at that time. And I'm looking, my mom is, my whole family, they're past that whole thing. They're waiting for me on the other side, and they're waiting for their daughter to come through, and they're just looking, and I'm looking back, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I lift my thing. I'm like, okay, fine, for you, lady, I will do this. And I do it. I go through it. She's like, before I even step on the machine thing, like I go through the 360 thing, she calls me again. Now, that was the last straw. I'm like, she could have said all these things in one go and I would have done it, but she kept calling me back. And she says, "Ma'am, you might have to take off your shoes as well because I see there's a metal buckle." And I'm like, okay, I will do that, but you've called me 3 times. And I was pissed off at this point, okay? And I said, I will do that happily, but you could have said all these things 3 times. I have not passed the machine yet, and you're doing this to me, like back and forth. There must be a reason for this. And she's like, "No, sorry, ma'am, it's just procedure." I'm like, "No, this is not procedure. Procedure is when you say all these things in one go and I do it." And obviously she didn't have much to say, but I did it. So I go through the machine. I come out. Lady comes to the front, from the back to the front, and does a second tap. She does the whole thing again with her hands. I'm like,
That
okay, so
she was
apparently
just
your machine is
pinpointing
broken.
you. Yeah, I don't
Yeah, I'm
know. Like
like,
that's weird.
so this thing is useless. It's not working. I'm pointing to the back, and by this time, guys, there was a huge lineup behind me, and
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, so apparently this thing is useless, and she's like, no, ma'am, it's procedure. I'm like, yeah, right, procedure. At that point, I was like, to hell with your procedure. I was so pissed off, you guys. You don't even know. And then eventually I got there. But whew, that was like, I'm pretty sure I looked like a tomato at that point. I was so mad. And my parents were just laughing it off. I'm like, yeah, not funny, not funny.
Yeah.
Uh, and
And the thing is,
it's,
they're doing it in front of like more people behind you, and people are staring at you too. Like, what are you like? What is this person,
yeah,
hiding? What are
yeah,
they doing? And it's like I didn't even do anything, but I was stopped for no reason.
exactly. And you know what? Anyone who, I'm not gonna say that I look innocent, but hell, I do look innocent. Like, look at my face. I look innocent. Okay. But like, sometimes if you were a smart person and if you really want to judge people by the way they look, then there are other looks that you might want to, really flag down. I'm sure there are people who look sinister. Okay? Trench coats and all that crap. Okay? Fedora hats. Yeah. A cane. A freaking like a hawk on their shoulder. I don't know. But me? Are you for real? Please tell me, Kazel, do I look
Yeah,
like a
I
freaking criminal to you? Cause,
no, not really.
oh,
No,
thank you.
not at all. Actually, not even, not really.
But so that was my
Uh,
only experience, and it was on Edmonton Airport, and I was so sad because I was like, bro, this is my city. I've lived here for so long. Come on, you can't do this
yeah.
to your own citizen like that.
Yeah, I don't understand why they choose specific people. Like I would understand if there's really like something, like you go through that machine and it's beeping and you're like, okay, yeah, this person, what if they have something, right? I understand
Yeah.
that, but I don't know, like these extra procedures, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Especially when she made you go through the machine. and nothing
Yeah.
happened. That was strange. That's definitely, yeah, strange. She just wanted to come after you.
They
Yeah,
do
and
But
say, oh, it's a random selection, but it's really not a
nope,
random
no,
selection.
no, it's
sir, it
not
is not
random.
random.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
that was that.
Well,
Um,
yeah, that's tough spots at the airport, right? But when
mm,
we eventually do get to our destinations
When
after
we
all
cross
that,
eventually.
this huge hurdle of possible harassment.
when we do
Hopefully
get
we get
there,
there.
the first thing, in my opinion, like if you're traveling to a different country, it's searching for halal food. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta go eat. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So how do you guys go about that?
Well, I mean, I feel like I kind of do my research online, um, and kind of see what that place offers in terms of halal food. Uh, but yeah, it's not always like if you're going to like a foreign country that is not a Muslim country, then of course there's that thing where halal versus not. You have to like really be a little bit more careful. And I guess
Mm,
like for a lot of people, I don't know, some people may not understand like what halal and the whole vegan thing is.
yeah.
Because yes, we as Muslims we can eat vegan, but there's like a difference between halal and vegan. So yeah, like in menus they do have like vegan options, but we do eat meat. And at some point a person craves meat if they do eat meat
At some point, girl, every day. If I don't have chicken in
every
my
day.
meal, sorry, it ain't a meal.
Yeah, so I guess like my way of trying to find halal food is to research about it before I go to a place.
So
So
you
yeah,
don't
what
ask
are your
around?
ways? I mean, you can ask around, but I feel like I like to be a little bit more prepared
Right. And
beforehand.
nowadays it's so easy, right? With
You
the
can just,
websites
yeah,
and everything.
go
Yeah.
online, look at Google reviews, all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys do?
Oh, me? Well, I normally don't. I go with the mentality that when I get there, I'll figure it out. But what I do is that if I'm booking the hotel, I check to see what their menu of the hotel is. So at least I want like a really nice breakfast or something to just eat when I get there. And then I can take my time looking for anything.
Right.
So my only priority is just checking what the menu of the hotel is that I'm staying at, what their meal is, and preferably I would go for a hotel that doesn't that would cater to more like seafood or just like a normal continental breakfast, something like that. But other than that, when I'm actually on the street, I would go to a place preferably like I'm not very particular about my cuisine or anything like that, but I have just particular rules that I'll go by, like seafood without alcohol and such like that, which we'll go into detail. But I'm not really like I don't do much research because there's not much point for me. I feel like if I uh, focus so much on where the food is because I'm trying to just enjoy the country, and
Mm.
I
Yeah.
will I'll figure it out when I get there, type of thing.
Yeah. And there's always chips, man. Chips
Yes,
and
chips and
Coke,
Coke,
and you're good.
chips and Coke. I'll be
Chips
good.
and Coke
Yeah,
and
same
salad.
here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Me personally, it's always about halal, definitely. Like, I'm very cautious about that. But the reason why I'm not very worried about that is because I know that I can always find some veggie options. And
Yeah.
therefore, if it's veggie and if there's no use of lard, pork, or whatever, I'm good. Um, and the other thing I'm very cautious about is, sometimes they're like, oh, you're Muslim, you can have any cheese. That's fine. Cheese and bread is good. But
Yeah.
even in cheeses, there are things like cheddar cheese, not all of them are halal. And
Mm-hmm.
so those are the little things I dwell on rather than on just categorically halal food. Um, and on planes, it's usually I either pick the kosher meal or
Hmm.
the gluten-free veggie meal or whatever, right? So yeah, for me, halal is equivalent to vegetarian at this point,
Yeah, when traveling
which is
Yeah, it's
kind of
just
outside.
like,
sad.
Yeah, when
Yeah, which
traveling
is kind of
outside.
sad to be honest, because imagine if I go to Turkey, then I can actually have access to all the halal food, the meats and the
yeah.
kebabs and all those great things. But if I go to a non-Muslim country, then I'm depriving myself of all the good stuff. And, with little research, like Kazel said, you can actually find good meat options too in halal. So I think I think effort is good. Research is good. I really think so.
Yeah, I would say a little research. It doesn't have to be like a full dive in, but like just
Yeah.
maybe like two, three places, and then the rest, like you can see when you get there,
Yeah. And Reddit.
what's
Have you guys
around
ever
you.
tried Reddit for these things? Reddit is an amazing place for the stupidest and greatest things ever. Like, they'll tell you exactly where the restaurant is, on which street, on which corner, what's opposite that restaurant, and they'll direct, like, entire forum posts will say, okay, when you get to that street with the green billboard, in front of it is a bank, and right opposite to it is a halal restaurant. Make sure you go in there because that is owned by, I don't know, my ex girlfriend's something. That's how accurate Reddit forums are, you know? And
Yeah, I've
it's
never tried that.
amazing. It's really
Reddit
amazing
is
because,
great.
That
Yeah,
sounds
Reddit.
good.
Whenever I need advice on something or there's something that I'm not sure about, I quickly go to Reddit because I know somebody has asked this question somewhere,
yeah,
and that there's
10
people who
years
are ready
ago.
to exactly, and I'm
Yeah.
like lifesaver. So Reddit is really amazing.
Yeah, but what if that restaurant doesn't exist 10 years later?
Well, that's our loss, right?
I
Yeah.
know. Okay, so like kind of on that same topic still, there's the whole like debate on like halal versus vegan. So yes, we can eat vegan food, and I guess it is a lifesaver when there are no meat options. But like people, I feel like get like there's not a good understanding of what halal is versus like the vegan whole thing. Like for example, like vegan food, like you may go to any restaurant and they nowadays they do have like a vegan option in their restaurant, so you can kind of order off of that. But like when you order vegan, like these people are so careful. Like they're like extra careful when they're like ordering, like when you're ordering vegan. But like let's say like you ask like, oh, like is this cheese halal? Like there's no lard, there's no pork, there's no any of that. They're like just looking at you like, what are you saying, human? Like what are you saying? Or like you're like, does this food, let's say like even if it's seafood, like did you please, don't put wine or alcohol in it. Like do you have that? They'll just be staring at you.
You
But
know, that's sad
yeah, it
because,
is.
especially in a city like Toronto, I would think there would be more awareness because of the huge population of Muslims, right? If this happened in Edmonton and anywhere in Alberta, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, whatever. You know, these rednecks don't know nothing. But uh like Toronto, like that's the place that where you see the Toronto and New York. These are the
Yeah.
two, and London, okay? Three big cities of the world where there's so many Muslims and many other cultures. You would think people would be more aware, you know? And especially big restaurants, they should be more aware of these. Like, what the hell? How do you not know?
I guess it's also like veganism. It's like a big trend, not trend,
Yeah,
but whatever. It's part of people's new lifestyle. But like
posh business.
halal, yeah, halal is like religion, right? It comes down
Yeah,
to religion, and there people don't really take religion as seriously
true.
as
But no, the
veganism
thing is,
nowadays.
Hazel, if I said, is this kosher, they'd get it.
Right.
That's the thing. That's my problem. It's like, okay, so
Mm.
you can get kosher, you can get vegan, you can get, I don't know, uh, seafood, off the street food, drainage food, toilet food. You'll get everything, but you can't get halal food. Excuse me. So, and you
That's
know,
very true.
especially
Yeah,
considering Muslims are all the time in the news. If you can make us famous for bombs, why can't you make us famous for halal food?
true.
So, and there's a whole chain in New York. It's called Halal Guys.
Yeah,
And
really
it's so
popular.
famous.
Mm.
Anyone should know that. Anyone in the food business should know that.
They started off fairly recently too, and they suddenly everywhere there's a branch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Halal Guys? Yeah.
But it's really the strictness that they have for veganism. It's perplexing to me because in a religion, there's really it's very serious for somebody in that religion. If you were to eat something that's not, like as a Muslim, if you were to eat something that's not halal, you feel like there's like a penalty for that. You feel like you're not supposed to do it. You don't really have a choice. You're not supposed to do it, right? But for veganism, even though it's a choice, it's a lifestyle that you choose. people are so particular, like Hazel was saying, they're so cautious about it. And in the matter of seriousness, like religious seriousness, I would say, like, you would put more cautious for religion. You don't want to step in and cross any other religion boundaries. Like, say,
Yeah.
for example, if I was making something for a Christian person, or I was making something for a Jewish person, I would have to be catering, like I'd have to make sure that I'm not stepping any boundaries. Or if I'm making something for a Sikh person, I have to make sure, are you okay with this? Like, can I use these items, because I don't want to put them in a position where they have to break any rules of their own religions, because I'm only giving these options to them. But in veganism, it's a lifestyle. They're like, I don't want to eat this, and they're very particular about it. But there's no other like higher order punishment.
Yeah, and even if you take out the just the human conversation out of it, being nice, being a good human being, and respecting other people's choices, even from just a business or capitalist point of view, it's for your own betterment if you do that. And if you've noticed, a lot of the President's Choice, the no name brand, they're picking up on this. They are picking up
Yes.
on it fast, and most of their items are signed kosher. Okay, they're signed with the U or a C, COR, or they don't have non-halal ingredients. And actually, some of their products actually now have a thing stamp, a halal stamp, and it's by the Canadian something association. I don't know, some halal board, something. I don't know. So these big smart brands are picking up on it, and so
I mean, their products are going to sell more now.
Exactly.
So
Why
from that
wouldn't you
because it
perspective,
doesn't
do
affect
this?
anyone else, It's not going to affect anyone with the taste of the food. It's legit going to be probably the same.
yeah.
But for us, it's like, okay, now we can actually eat that.
And I
But,
was explaining this
yeah.
to my coworker actually. She was saying, so why can't you just, what is this whole halal business, right? I'm like, this is,
Yeah.
if it's chicken,
It's not that
a
complicated though.
yeah,
It's
and
not.
it's a humane way of slaughtering
Yeah.
an animal, and therefore it's ethical, and therefore when I eat it, I don't feel bad. And she was impressed. She said, you know what, maybe I should try halal options, because she was a big animal activist. So she's like, you know what, if that's the case, why not? And I think it's also about lack of education. People think halal and whatever, it's just a thing, halal.
They think it's so
probably say
complicated.
something on it and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
They think it's like a whole ritual, like it's a halal.
Yeah.
It's like a whole cult
Which it is.
ritual.
Yeah.
It is, but it's not.
I
It's
don't know
just
what
like
they
you're just saying the
imagine.
name of God. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you're just
Which is
They don't
why
slaughtering
we
the
realize how
can
animal.
eat
simple it
kosher
is.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they follow the same principle, and even though
Yeah, of a divine.
yeah, even though we're technically different religions, we answer to the same God, and they're also sacrificing their meat, they're also saying, basically the same thing as like for like the one God. You're only praising one God, which is what it makes it halal for us too.
I remember we used to live on Bathurst and Finch in Toronto about a decade ago. When I say that, I feel so freaking old. But we used to live there, and every Saturday, every Saturday, it was their Sabbath, right? So the Jewish folks, they would be like lining the sidewalks to their nearest bakery and getting their fresh breads and fish and great stuff from their kosher store. So I remember we used to actually get our meat from there, because there wasn't a nearby one at that time. So we'd actually get it from the Jewish folks, because it was kosher and we were fine, right? So yeah, I feel like awareness is a big thing, and you would think the 21st century would teach them a lot of things, but apparently some people are just not wanting to learn or something. I don't know.
We should add that we would go for
probably
kosher only if you don't see a halal version of it. So
exactly,
it's not the first thing where you would run to for kosher, but if you don't have an halal option, go for kosher. It's a second option.
Like I'm gonna give the example of Thunder Bay. Apparently, until 2-3 years ago, Thunder Bay didn't have any halal store, food store or meats and whatnot. So and there was a superstore, but they wouldn't have proper certified meat, frozen meat. So one of the scholars gave the ruling that you can actually go to the nearest Christian or people of the book store. So people of the book are considered the Jewish and the Christian, and you can actually have their meat from there.
Yeah.
So
as long as they follow the actual rulings of slaughtering the meat, even their way, as long as it's the by the book way, then yes.
And Thunder Bay is in the middle of nowhere. And I'm sure the audience is going to think I have some weird grudge against Thunder Bay because last time I talked about Thunder Bay too. But this is the reality. Thunder Bay is just the middle of no freaking where. So what the hell is anyone supposed to do? I've never lived in Thunder Bay, so I'm just saying this. I'm sorry. It's a place. It's a beautiful place. Anyways.
It's a nice place, yeah.
Moving on from this.
Yeah.
When the food issue is resolved, what do you do next? You look for, obviously, tourist spots, great stuff to look at. So how do you go about that? Because we also, as Muslims, have some restrictions in relation to what kind of places we can go to. First of all, we don't go to nightclubs. Well, at least the practicing ones don't go.
Hopefully not.
I'd love to. I mean, we just want to see for research purposes.
Nightclubs too now, but okay.
I tried. Like, I think I was telling Kazel, I think when we first entered York University, right? There's that. It's not a club. It's like this grill bar type of situation right when you enter into York Lanes,
right.
and I think I was telling kids, like, I was so fascinated by it because it was like 18 and above, and I was like, oh my god, this is probably the closest we are going to get to a bar, right? I was like, should we just go inside and just ask for water and piss off the bartender?
I swear she wanted to do that so bad.
I wanted to do it so many times. I thought about it so many times. But I never did. I almost went in. I almost asked the guy at in the front. I think it was like 17.
You went in, remember? You got coffee or something.
Not there. I went to the Italian
Oh, that
place.
was the other place. Okay,
yeah, that was
mind.
the Italian
okay,
place.
Never mind.
No, I didn't get coffee from there.
It's so funny because you speak of that. The other day I was talking to a colleague and I said, I just, in the passing, I said, oh, I've never had, she invited me over for the night. She said, we should celebrate the end of our part 1 that I'm doing right now. So she's like, you should come over tonight. And I'm like, yeah, sure. She's like, yeah, we can, go out for some drinks and stuff. I'm like, I don't drink and I've never had a drink in my life. And she looks at me, and we're in the elevator, okay? She looks at me, and I look at her. There's no one else. And she goes, before the door, this is so dramatic. Before the door opened, she says, wow, you're a saint. And I'm just like, holy shit. I ain't a saint. No. I just don't drink, that's all. But yeah, it's a strange thing.
That's funny. I mean, there definitely are people who don't drink, like, even though,
Yeah. I mean, drinking is it's clearly not a good thing, of course, drinking.
Yeah.
Health-wise and all. So, obviously, when the whole food issue is resolved and, now you're ready to sightsee, the first thing usually in foreign countries that comes to mind is, oh, do they have any beaches? And, beaches, as innocent as they sound, they're not so innocent in our eyes.
Sure.
So, I know this is scandalous, but, there are family-friendly beaches, and then there are beaches that are not so family-friendly, and then there are beaches that should be considered Muslim beaches, because that's where ain't nothing bad happening. Like, no
Just
nudity.
go to a stranded beach.
Yeah. It's like, exactly, it's a clean thing that we expect, but we don't always get, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know about you guys, but our family, we've lived in Malaysia for long. We've lived in Singapore. That's like a beach central country. And we've only been to a beach once, and we were disappointed, so we just came back kind of quite early. But, we have this, I don't know, a trauma of beaches because we've always had a bad experience. and it's not always what we wanted. So I
Like,
don't know
what do
how
you
you
mean
guys go
though?
about this.
But like, what kind of experience are you talking though? Because for me, our like bad experience would be as most like a weird glance, because we'd be completely clothed, right? And then there are people who are butt naked, and then they'd be looking at you.
Actually, that's not the thing we've experienced. What we experienced is it's not even the glances. It's more about us being uncomfortable in the place because of the nudity, right? So we'd be like, shoot, why the hell did we come here? Because, we're not used to, as a family, we don't want to indulge in those kinds of places. So that's the thing I'm talking about. It's discomfort that we don't like. If it was a clean space with appropriate clothing, we'd be like, whatever, this is good. But usually that's not how it works.
No, definitely not. I
So,
think you can at most expect that in a more conservative country. But I'm surprised, like Malaysia and Singapore, you're saying there was a lot of nudity?
yeah, because it's a tourist spot, right? So when tourists are there, they do their shit.
Right. But yeah, for me, like beaches are like you just go somewhere and like yeah, I guess it's just the glances. It's not. We try to just sit first of all a little further away, but like if you wanna like go into the water, let's say, and you're like covered head to toe with like a hijab and like full clothes, and then people just are like, okay, why is she going in the water? And I feel like it has actually made me not want to like go into the water. And it's so weird because why am I putting like, why am I not
It's
doing what I
God's
want
water. It's
to?
not their water.
Yeah, I know. It's like, why am I like falling for this, um, whatever it is, right? Like, and not like enjoying
Yeah.
myself fully instead of just doing whatever I want.
Actually, you bring up a really good point, Casey, because recently, uh, so Alberta high schools, they have something called the provincial diploma exams. So for every grade 12 students, they have to write these exams for every subject.
Mm.
So in English, they had to write a written response, an essay on a picture, and the picture was actually three fully clothed Muslim women, in a hijab and abaya, and they were playing they were just having the time of their lives in the water. Okay, it was just a beautiful picture, and they had it there, and the students of Alberta had to respond to that picture in an essay, and one of the teachers was saying that it was the most beautiful prompt, first of all, but the responses were even greater because students, there was not a single student who didn't appreciate the picture. They said, oh, this is three human beings having fun. Or these are three ladies from probably the Middle East having fun. These kinds of interpretations. And so sometimes I feel like, yes, we let those looks get to us, the people looking at us in a weird way. But majority of the people, I think, don't even think like that.
Mm.
And majority of the people don't really care at this point. I feel like they're like, whatever, this is a human being having fun, whatever.
Right.
And that's the good thing, I believe, of social media, I think, because social media has really, really helped with that.
That reminds me of like this other thing that people were saying in the comments, because I mean, we're talking about the way we dress when we go to beaches, right? But people were saying generally, like, when you're just walking down a street or something, they're like, oh, people are looking at me. Say you are wearing something that you're not comfortable with, or say you're embarrassed about something. You feel like people's eyes are on you, right? And so at the bottom of a video, the comment section was saying that, it's so weird because nobody is looking at you, but it feels like everybody is. And it feels like their glances are on you, but
I guess
nobody
it's like
cares.
self-confidence
It's
as
very
well, right?
self-conscious. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
us going like, are they looking at me?
Yeah.
Or if somebody's like laughing somewhere else, you go like, are they laughing at me? Are they
Yeah.
saying this? And
Mm.
they're not, they're doing their own thing, but it feels like it's on you because you feel like that's what's happening.
Honestly, as I've grown older, I have realized that a lot of the projections that I felt people had on me, they were very much from myself towards them. And sometimes it's our own biases that speak, to be very honest. Like, because we're humans too, after all.
Right.
So when we see a half-naked woman and we look at her, we're like, oh, she's probably going to judge me. But that's actually us judging her, to be very honest. So it's a two-way street sometimes. And yes, we spoke of prejudices in the beginning about, security checks and whatnot. But sometimes you have to really self-reflect as well in that regard.
So going back on track, we talked about beaches and, our struggles with finding halal food and, our security checks. But, that shouldn't discourage us from stepping out into the world and seeing what wonders await us. There's always a solution, so we shouldn't worry about that too much. There have been many vloggers who have gone out, and usually you see a lot of vlogs of Muslims going to Muslim countries and trying out halal food, but that's nothing new. But recently you've been seeing uh, vloggers who are going to non-Muslim countries and really going out of their way to find halal options, to encourage uh, other Muslims to not be afraid and travel and know that it's going to be all right, and we should go and enjoy ourselves, besides all the other complications.
So one such blogger that like vlogger, I guess, that I came upon on YouTube was a guy named the Halal Food Travel Guy. Funny name, but it's okay.
So this dude specifically just does halal food
Yeah, halal
vlogging?
food.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
which was really nice to see because I have like been looking for someone to actually vlog. I guess like there are some Muslim vloggers who go to Muslim countries, and I mean that's lovely, that's nice. But the thing is, I can eat anything and everything in that
Oh
country.
yeah.
So
And we will, of course. We'll stuff
and
our
we will,
faces.
yeah,
Nice.
stuff like this. But yeah, like legit, I can eat anything. So it's great, but I mean, I would have loved to see more people do like vlog in Muslim, non-Muslim countries. And so when I came upon this guy, I was like, uh, this is really cool because as like a Muslim, it's hard to come by that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like we need to see more people go around and like Rumi was saying, it's totally okay for like us to go and travel, and even though there are some, we come through a little bit of barriers, but that doesn't mean that we can't overcome it. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we shouldn't travel at all. Like the world is open to everyone. It's not restricted for only
You
a
know what
few
I was
people.
thinking this on the same topic here. I was
Yeah.
thinking some of the things are a little too hard for us. Like, for example, this whole hunting for halal food. Whereas other people have made it easier for themselves. For example, I was checking a chocolate. I think it was, I don't know which company it was, but I was checking that if it was halal or not, and I quickly searched if there was any app that would show me, if I scanned the barcode, it would show me if it was halal or not. And there was one for, there was a bunch actually for kosher food, and they were so efficient. I actually tried it on them, and it just scanned it, and then it showed me, oh, this is not halal. This is not, sorry, not halal, kosher. This is not kosher. This is kosher. This is not kosher. And it was very quick and just efficient. But there is no such app for halal food
That would be
specifically.
very convenient. That's actually a
That
great
would be very
idea,
convenient. Yeah.
because that reminds
Yeah,
me of the app for the stock market where you put in the name and right away it'll tell you if it's like halal certified or not, right? So
yeah.
it would save a ton of time to just scan a
Exactly. And
barcode.
this is related to these vloggers actually, because honestly they're doing God's work. If they're doing this, they're doing God's work, because like you going out there testing out things, saying what's halal, what's not in foreign countries, you're making life so much easier for Muslims, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing. I think that's a very good
Hmm.
thing.
And also
Definitely.
appreciating to like the companies who are also like some like noodle packets, and now they're putting that little stamp, so easily you see the symbol and you're like, okay, it's fine, you can pick it up. So I hope more companies would also spend some time, because it's not that complicated. Honestly, if they really sat down and thought about how much work it would be, it's not going to be that complicated, and they increase their number of customers. They're increasing their range.
Yeah. Overall, I just feel like taking out of this episode, we as Muslims just don't need to be afraid. And I feel like since the world, like in our previous episode, we talked the world is opening up, people can travel. So if you have the opportunity to travel, I would definitely say go travel. Don't be afraid. Um, Even though you'll have to deal with a few, ups and downs here and there, don't like stop that. Stop you from traveling and enjoy yourself. And like, I don't know, like if you can vlog about it, film about it, and if that's what you like to do, then go ahead because that's going to help so many people as well. Um, but yeah, I would love to see more vloggers, more bloggers, more people talking about the types of food they can get in different countries and just share their experiences, you know? And yeah.
And so that concludes our episode on traveling as a Muslim. Our next episode is going to be a very interesting one. I just wanted to throw that out to our audience. We're going to be discussing some epic shows of the year. So if you are into that, do not miss our next episode. Until next time, this has been Gold, Rumi, and Kazel signing off.